Alright guys, welcome back to the shop. Today we are going to be working on a punch to drive a wedge anchor. This is a wedge anchor. I'm going to attach a video that explains how this works. The job I'm working on, we're doing bridge attachments of 4-inch conduit. And the wedge anchors have to attach the unistrut to the parapet of a bridge. And what the guys are doing, they're drilling a hole in the parapet, they're pounding this in, then they're putting this in place. They're putting the unistrut over top of the wedge anchor. Now the wedge anchor only sticks out enough, it's like 4 threads or something. Total, it might be more than that, but the nut only goes to this far. You can see 2 threads. So this thing's in there pretty deep. Then what they have to do, it's hard for me to explain or show you. Then, now they're on the side of the bridge here. Then they have to put this in place, right? Just like that. Now remember, this thing's in there like that. Hopefully you guys can see that. Then they have to take the nut, stick their finger in there and try to tighten that down. It's a real pain in the neck. So I was talking with them and I said, you know what? I can make a punch, and what you can do is you drill the hole in the parapet, right? You put this in place like so. So when you first drive it in the concrete, it's going to stick out like this. Okay? And then you're going to smack it in with the hammer. You're going to set it, bam, bam, into the concrete. Okay? Because, you know, your hammer can't get in there. Then I'm going to have the punch, and the punch is going to push it all the way into place. Now what I have to do here, number one, obvious, is the punch has to fit down into the unistrut, right? But the other thing is, I want the punch to be half mooned, hollowed out a little bit, so just this part right here of the wedge anchor goes into the punch. So this should be fairly simple. I'm going to make it nice. I'll put some knurling on it, you know, and I'm not sure I'm going to use this piece of stainless, but I want something heavy. It has to be like that because these guys, you know, when they're hitting it, they can't be hitting their hand. So that's what we're doing. Hope it makes sense. I know there's a lot of yapping, but before we can do machining, we have to do yapping. The first 2 steps we always do is we face off the part, then we center drill it for the live center. Next, I take a skim pass to get rid of the mill scale and any rust. I'm only doing about 50 thousandths here. It's just a rough cut. A quick layout, and let's put in that 5/8 feature. In case you're wondering, this is strictly decorative. Next, we roughen the tip. I know it seems like I'm all over the place, but there is an order of operation. Now we can do the finish pass on the shank. I'm looking for a final dimension of around 80 thousandths. I'm going to call that good enough. I set my compound to 30 degrees to cut the taper. I just decided 30 degrees. Remember, we're kind of winging it here. The finish pass on the tip. Remember, we want 3/4 of an inch. Now, the icing on the cake, the knurling. We don't want to mess this part up. This turned out really good. Now let's go to the bandsaw and cut it to length. I face off the butt end and add a couple chamfers. The last thing to do is add the indent to accept the wedge anchor. I'm using an end mill to do this process. It's working great. This turned out really good. I'm happy with it. The wedge anchor fits in the end just like I wanted. I think this thing's going to work perfect. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.